Hello Game Boys and Game Girls, I'm the Game Boy Guru, and welcome to something a little bit different than normal. I was going through some stuff a few days ago, and I've been cleaning up my old house and going through some boxes and things, and came across some interesting stuff from my past that I thought I would show off and just have a little fun with. So I found this notebook, just a plain notebook that you might have for school or what have you. But inside, I wrote a bunch of Game Genie codes for various Genesis games. So we've got codes for Arrow Flash, Cool Spot, Decap Attack, Fire Shark, Gyarus, Phelios, Sonic the Hedgehog, of course, Strider, Technoclash, Thunder Force 2, Truxton, Vapor Trail, Contra Hardcore, Shadow Blasters, and Lightning Force. I also wrote down some Game Genie codes for a couple of NES games here, including Twin Cobra, SCAT, or Special Cybernetic Attack Team, and Zanak. So pretty interesting to kind of come across these sorts of things when you're going through old stuff. There's a couple of other things in the notebook here, although I think the rest of it is, the rest of it is not gaming related. But I thought that was kind of neat. So as I was going through the box, that sort of got me thinking, what else do I have that, I might have used back in the day for gaming. And that led me to this. Again, just a standard 3-ring binder. But this has a guide that I printed out from GameFAQs for Lunar Silver Star Story Complete on the PlayStation. And so this is a 65-page guide that I printed out in order to use with the game. And according to the date on the bottom of the page here, it looks like I printed that off July 5th, 2000. And I know where this would have been, where I would have printed this off. And so that's pretty interesting. The guide itself was from May 28th of 1999. And then I also printed off some additional stuff here in the back that I've got. So there's a bromide guide. For those of you who have played the game, you'll understand that reference. There's another deal here where you can have some additional tips and tricks, like how to get free money, where some specific items are, locations for all the red chests that you can unlock, tips on beating a couple of bosses, etc. Couple of other FAQs about boss fights and magic weapons, and some cool stuff. And then there's also a guide on how to unlock the hidden game on the making of disc that comes with the game. There's like a video disc that's sort of a behind the scenes interview disc with some of the development team and with working designs. And there's a mini game on there called Lords of Lunar that you can unlock. And there's a whole 5-page FAQ here on how to unlock it and then how to play. So anyway, pretty cool stuff. But that's not all. I also found this giant binder, cleverly labeled Game Guides. Let me get the camera to see it here. And this has a ton of stuff in it. So right off the bat, I've got some little pieces of paper here that I wrote some stuff down on. I've got some cheat codes for Darius Gaiden on the Saturn, Duke Nukem 3D on the Saturn, Galactic Attack, and Shinobi Legions. And then I've got a couple pieces of paper here with codes for Raystorm, Galactic Attack, and Siphon Filter. Something about a one-shot kill with a 9mm. Oh, okay, yeah. So basically, a code that will allow you to take out any enemy with the 9mm in one shot, or an all weapons and infinite ammo code, which is pretty cool. There's also this Chocobo Manifesto, which is a 3-page guide, kind of introducing Chocobo breeding and some tips and tricks on how to do that. And then a few pages of tips and tricks from some of the magazines. So like Twisted Metal, NFL Game Day, Mortal Kombat for the Genesis and Game Gear. Yeah, Trickman's Best Tips and Tricks of 1993 from the editors of EGM. So a whole bunch of stuff here for Super NES, Genesis, even some TurboGrafx, Lynx, Game Boy, etc. So pretty cool stuff there, just in the initial little flap here. But the real treat is the guides that I've printed out. I printed out a bunch of guides from GameFAQs. And so here's one from March of 2000, or I printed it on March of 2000. The guide itself is from January of 2000, and is one for The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX. So that was about the time that I had my Game Boy Color, and there's this 47-page FAQ that I printed out. Plus, here's another 24-page FAQ from a random website, zeldapower.com. That is looks like a walkthrough for the original version on the Game Boy. Let's see, what else is here? I know there's more after this. And then after this original Game Boy FAQ, there's also a walkthrough of the secret dungeon that's in the DX version, and then all these maps of the different dungeons. So Bottle Grotto, there's Key Cavern, and these are just probably bitmaps or JPEGs that I just printed out. Angler's Cave, Catfish's Maw, etc. Face Shrine. So all these different maps that I printed out for the different dungeons and things. Oh, and then the locations of all the different pictures in the game in Zelda DX that you can use with the Game Boy printer. So pretty cool stuff. Then something I printed out way back in January of 2000 is a guide for Final Fantasy VII on the PlayStation. And I distinctly remember printing this out because this is an 81-page guide here. I distinctly remember printing this out, and I don't remember if I did so. I want to say I did so when the boss was away, because I probably would have gotten in trouble for this, for printing this on company paper and so forth. But an 81-page FAQ. And then here's part 2 of the FAQ, which is 113 pages. Just an insane amount of paper that I printed out for this for this guide. And of course, this has all kinds of information in it. A full walkthrough. There's this other deal that I printed off on some GeoCities website that talks about different secret items and where to get those. Here's kind of a beginner's tips and advanced tips for the game. Again, from the same GeoCities site. How to attack the green weapon. Or the emerald weapon, I should say. A guide on limit breaks. And so, you know, how to get those leveled up as quickly as possible for each of the characters. And then, what else? And then another Chocobo breeding guide. 4 pages on that. Again from GeoCities. So, pretty interesting stuff. I never ended up really doing anything with the Chocobo breeding. And even though I had this guide, it still took me 5 or 6 attempts to go into the game and actually beat it. So I didn't actually beat this game until 2013 or 14, something like that. I'd start it, I'd get in a ways, and then I'd get distracted by something else or get busy with life in general. And then when I'd go back to the game, I would have no idea where I was at or what my objectives were. So anyway, I downloaded a guide for Phantasy Star 2. And so this has map guides. You know, how to get through the different dungeons and things. Which is extremely helpful because the dungeons in Phantasy Star 2 are very confusing. I never did go and beat that though. I've got, let's see, this tab has nothing. Oh boy, here we go. So here's some stuff for Tekken 2. A bunch of things like how to unlock all the different characters. You know, what character you have to beat the game with in order to unlock which character. How to get to some of the alternate outfits for different characters, like here, Kazuya's third outfit, purple suit. Move the selection or the cursor to Kazuya, and then press start, and then press X. So, cool stuff like that. And Tekken 3, tons of strategy guides or move lists for all the different characters. And of course you can access those in the game itself, but this is handy to have outside of that so you're not constantly having to pause the game and check the move list in order to see that stuff. So let's see, there's Gunjack. Brian Fury. Who else? Julia Chang. There's a guide for Ogre. His move list. True Ogre. Here's some secrets on how to unlock different outfits, different characters, etc. Yoshimitsu. All sorts of strategy stuff on Tekken 3. And I did this one smart. See, I printed this out on paper that had already been used and discarded. So it wasn't a big deal to reuse that for some of this stuff. Moveset for Nina Williams. Yeah, tons of guides in here. Jin Kazama. Lots of stuff for Tekken 3. I played a lot of Tekken 3 back in the day. Here's some generic PlayStation stuff I printed out. Some some codes and cheats for Spyro 2, Ripto's Rage. Yeah, it looks like that's all Spyro 2. And then here's some Sega Saturn stuff. So Game Shark codes for Shinobi Legions. Darius Gaiden. Very nice. And then this is very interesting. I've got a ton of these tips and tricks pages that I printed out from various different magazines. So here's one from Video Games magazine, May of '95. And it's got Lodestar for Sega CD, Bubsy 2, an unlockable golf game in NBA Live 95, which I think is just almost like a demo of PGA golf. Pac-Man 2, you can unlock Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man. Same thing, so for both the Super NES and the Genesis. KO Flying Squadron, Boogerman, Zool 2 for the Jaguar, which I actually have. Mega Man X2. Let's see, here's a whole bunch of stuff like moves and techniques for Mortal Kombat 3 fighters. Donkey Kong Country 2. X-Men Children of the Atom in the arcade. When I've got the Saturn version, so of course this move list would be handy for me for all these different characters. Game Genie codes, all sorts of different cheats, tons of stuff. I don't even remember having all of these magazines, but I must have at one point. Here's a bunch of moves for Power Instinct. What was it? Power Instinct 2, I think. Wing Commander 3 on the 3DO. The Super Cheat menu. Rayman for the PlayStation. Panzer Dragoon. How to see the endings. Tekken for the PlayStation. Unlocking the Galaga minigame. Or, let's see here, what else? Clay Fighter 2. Some move lists and stuff. Special attacks for Virtua Fighter. Kasumi Ninja on the Jaguar, all the move lists and stuff for the different characters. Fatal Fury 3, just all kinds of stuff. Shockwave on the 3DO, tons of stuff on, here we go, Killer Instinct. Yeah. Clay Fighter 2, Judgment Clay. Balls for the Sega Genesis and Super NES. Moves for what is it? Eternal Champions. Tempest 2000 for the Jaguar. Just all kinds of different codes. Power Factor for the Lynx. Mortal Kombat for the Game Gear. All kinds of Game Genie codes for that. Just a ton of interesting stuff. Wiz and Liz for the Genesis. Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. How to play as Akuma. Again, move lists for Mortal Kombat games, Daytona, USA. Wow. Final Fight 2, Bonk 3. Lots of cool stuff. Oh, here we go. Way of the Warrior for 3DO. Move lists and stuff. Rise of the Robots. Crazy. Primal Rage strategy guide. Earthworm Jim for Sega CD. Yeah, there's just so much here. So many different cheat codes. And advertisement for In the Hunt long box on PlayStation. There's a couple more pages here that were 3-hole punched, but were kind of torn. But this is also pretty cool. This I know I printed later. This is 2002 is when this guide came out, and this is one for Lunar 2 Eternal Blue on the PlayStation, Eternal Blue Complete. And this actually is, I can tell that I printed it on an inkjet printer because of the purple ink, and the fact that it's been spilled on, it looks like, and the ink is faded over time. And so this is kind of a guide on the, oh, it's a walkthrough for the epilogue, which I didn't finish the first time I beat the game, because I realized that my characters were severely under-leveled, and I was not able to really properly grind in order to get their levels up to where they could take on the enemies in the epilogue. So I didn't actually finish the epilogue for Lunar 2 Eternal Blue until many years later, when I went back and played a PSX to PS2 or PSX to PSP conversion. I went back and played it on PSP several years later. Gosh, this has probably been a decade ago now that I did this, but I went back and played it on PSP and had leveled my characters up sufficiently so when I got to the epilogue I didn't feel quite so overwhelmed, and I was able to actually finish the game and see the epilogue. So some fun memories in here, you know, some things I remember using, some stuff I remember printing and downloading, but stuff that I haven't seen in years. You know, it's one of those things where this kind of gets filed away and then you forget about it and, you know, you don't think about it. And so I remember printing a lot of these, and I remember, you know, getting those guides together, but I kind of forgot I had this stuff. So it was fun to come across and to just kind of look and see what I had and, you know, reminisce about some of these old gaming memories. What about you guys? You know, have you been using guides for a long time? You know, back in the day when guides started to pop up on GameFAQs website and things like that, did you go out seeking codes and, you know, guides and FAQs for some of the games that you were playing at the time? Let me know in the comments below what stuff you've used guides for, or have you stuck to official guides like Prima and some of these other companies that have put things out, or stuff that comes in Nintendo Power and other game magazines? Let me know, and I'd sure love to hear from you guys as to what guides and what resources that you used prior to the ubiquity of the internet. If you like this video, consider giving it a thumbs up. Also consider subscribing so you can see more of my videos in your YouTube feed. I'll have a link in the description below where you can check out my Game Boy reviews. That is gameboyguru.blogspot.com. And also check out Nira's channel. He provided the overworld music, the Super Mario Land theme that I use as the intro for a lot of my videos, and he does a bunch of other great chiptune and game music covers as well, so please have a listen to those. As always, thanks for watching, thanks for playing, and game on.